Yeah, I'll react to that, sure. Hey guys. Top
The
10
county
prettiest towns in Surrey. I'll give a sub and a like. Original link to the video, top of the description. Hope you guys are doing well. Let's go.
of Surrey lies immediately southwest of London. But what are its prettiest towns, you might be wondering? Well, to find out, I visited them all personally, and my conclusions are presented to you in this top 10 list.
Ooh,
Note that
looks
Greater
cool.
London is excluded, so towns like Richmond, Kingston-upon-Thames, etc., whilst historically in Surrey, will not be counted. Also, as a disclaimer, this is not a social commentary, nor is it a guide on where's nicest to live. It is merely, for want of another phrase, a beauty contest. So let's.
Oh, that's awesome. So parts of northern Surrey or parts of southern Greater London were originally parts of Surrey. I think I learned about that in a different video when.
Let's get straight to it. Number 10. In circa 675 AD, the first recorded reference to a settlement named Weigerbrugge was made, literally meaning bridge over the River Wey, or as we today know it, Weybridge. From the 13th century, or possibly earlier, a wooden bridge was in place and was used by monks and pilgrims to Chertsey Abbey, around 3 miles away.
Oh my god, the buildings here are like my favorite. Some red brick with some of the is it half timber houses? Just beautiful.
Used by monks and pilgrims to Chertsey Abbey, around 3 miles away. In 1653, the River Wey navigation opened. The Wey is a tributary of the Thames, which meant that Weybridge, along with other towns all the way to Guildford and later to Godalming by 1764, could do direct trade with London. In 1848, St James's Church was built, replacing an earlier place of worship in its vicinity. Its architect, John Loughborough Pearson, would later go on to design Truro Cathedral in Cornwall. In short, there are beautiful riverside views in Weybridge, let down by a few urban sprawl-style streets serving as a reminder to its proximity to London. Number 9. Now this town's name derives from the Isle of Serret, where Serret was likely the original owner of the land used for the site of...
Sorry, guys.
Now this town's name derives from the Isle of Serret, where Serret was likely the original owner of the land used for the site of an abbey, which was founded in 666 AD. The town I'm referring to is Chertsey. The abbey was sacked by the Vikings in the 870s, not long after their victory at the Battle of Reading in 871. It was rebuilt and subsequently became one of the largest Benedictine abbeys in England, but ultimately suffered the same fate as other monastic buildings in the 1530s with Henry VIII's dissolution of the monasteries. In the early 12th century, Chertsey was granted its first market charter by Henry I. This was reconfirmed multiple times, first by Henry III in 1249, then by Edward I in 1282, and again by Elizabeth I in 1599. At the heart of the town is St Peter's Church, with a tower dating back to the 13th and 14th centuries. And another highlight is the Old Town Hall, which was built in the 1850s in the Italianate style. And today the building functions as a bar and restaurant. Number 8. At the confluence of the River Thames and the River Colne is a town whose history goes back to Roman times, when the area was called Ad Pontes, meaning at the bridges. Some say it was the first bridge over the Thames upstream from the Roman London Bridge. This town's name derives from an Old English word meaning stone, possibly deriving from a Roman milestone that the Saxons discovered on the London to Silchester route. Of course referring to Staines, or Staines upon Thames. From the 13th century, a wooden bridge was in use across the River Thames at Staines. The bridge...
You guys have a lot of upon something towns, and so it's that means upon some river, like upon Avon, upon Thames. And I'm wondering where this tributary discharges into. Like, does it go into The English Channel or something?
Bridge that stands today is a stone arch bridge opened in 1832 by William IV. From 1864, Staines was a manufacturer of linoleum, an industry which lasted over 100 years and is commemorated by the Roll Out the Lino sculpture on High Street. And yes, Staines is also the hometown of Ali G. In fact, Sacha Baron Cohen's suburban wannabe gangster character gained so much fame that Spelthorne Borough Council decided to rebrand the town as Staines upon Thames in 2011, presumably to distance itself from this association. Number 7.
Fair.
So this town is situated along the River Mole, just north of the Surrey Hills, and immediately adjacent to the M25 motorway, which encompasses Greater London and parts of neighbouring counties. The
M25?
first recorded reference to this town dates back to 880 AD, when it was known as Leodreden, meaning place where people ride across the river in Old English, or as it's known today, Leatherhead. A market charter was granted in 1248 by
Leatherhead. That reminds me of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Leatherface? Sorry.
Leatherhead. A market charter was granted in 1248 by Henry III, and a number of medieval buildings feature in the town centre, including Cradler's House, dating all the way back to the 14th century.
You're kidding me.
Including Cradler's House, dating all the way back to the 14th.
This is almost certainly the oldest surviving building in the town center. It is a 14th century open hall building with 3 bays. Downstairs, it would have had a shop in front, a service room in the middle, and a kitchen or private hall at the back. Upstairs was a large 2-bay chamber, a small one at the back, and another open hall along the front. You know that chamber and room mean the same thing, but chamber is the French word, and room is the Germanic word, and the French words were seen as more fancy. I'm pretty sure I'm right there.
Century.
Correct, I think.
And the Running Horse pub, which dates back to 1403. In 1986, the M25 opened, aka the London Orbital Motorway. Leatherhead became Junction 9 and is constantly mentioned in radio traffic reports. But don't let that association fool you. There's much historical charm to the town. Number 6. Now, according to the Domesday Book of 1086, this settlement was originally named Churchfell, meaning open space by the hill or barrow. The first record of the name it goes by today, though, dates from around the 1190s, meaning Rhode Gate, presumably in reference to its proximity to a deer park. I am, of course, referring to Reigate. Following the Norman invasion of 1066, the area comprising Reigate was a manor, which was granted to William de Warenne, a nobleman who fought at the Battle of Hastings. Sometime around the late 11th or early 12th century, the de Warenne family ordered the construction of Reigate Castle, and around the year 1150 they ordered that a town be built just south of the castle, where modern-day Reigate stands to this day. After the English Civil War...
I love how abundant, like, streets like these seem to be. They probably seem very normal to you guys, but really beautiful to me. You're probably thinking, I don't know, and there seem to be in large abundance.
Where modern-day Reigate stands to this day. After the English Civil War, the castle was still standing, but decayed, and the remains were demolished in 1777. During that same year, the castle grounds were converted into a private garden. This went on to become a public park in 1873 and is accessible via a path just off the High Street. And another distinct landmark of Reigate is the Old Town Hall, dating from 1728. Number 5. Now, it's believed that the area where this town stands today has been inhabited since at least Roman times, with coins from the reign of Hadrian having been found here. The town in question is Dorking, and the first record of there being a market here comes from 1240. By Tudor times...
How much are those worth? Money? What? Like, if you find a Roman coin? Is that like a few $100s, or...?
Record of there being a market here comes from 1240.
Sure, depends.
By Tudor times, it had become a thriving market town, whilst also transporting produce to London, including the famous five-clawed Dorking fowl. Geographically, Dorking
I
is
would love to go into an antique shop in Britain. That'd be so fun. There's another one.
surrounded on three sides by the Surrey Hills, a designated area of outstanding natural beauty.
See how exciting I am? I get really excited when I see a British antique shop.
Of
Can't
Surrey
help it.
Hills,
All right.
a designated area of outstanding natural beauty. Of particular note is Box Hill, which is popular with London day trippers. The River Mole runs northeast of the town, whilst a tributary, Pip Brook, flows roughly parallel to the High Street. Speaking of which, the High Street is lined with several distinctive buildings and helps to elevate Dorking to a top 5 spot on this list. Just don't mention the complex trio of railway stations spread miles apart from each other. Dorking is, of course, the birthplace of none other than Laurence Olivier. Number 4.
Who is that? Is he the guy who did Lawrence of Arabia? Oh god, I could be so wrong.
This town's name derives from Godhelm's Ingus, meaning people of Godhelm. One of its first recorded mentions dates back to 899 AD in Alfred the Great's will, where he gifted to his nephew Athelwold the town, namely Godalming. The first sight of Godalming upon approaching is the distinctive spire of St. Peter and St. Paul's Church, dating back to the 12th century. This medieval market town has been home to many trades, including wool, leather, and paper making. It also became a staging post on the London to Portsmouth route around the 18th century, and is name-checked by none other than Portsmouth's own Charles Dickens, specifically from Nicholas Nickleby. Quote, "To Godalming they came at last, and here they bargained for 2 humble beds and slept soundly." Another architectural highlight is the Regency-era Old Town Hall, dating from 1814, nicknamed the Pepper Pot. Godalming is the hometown of Aldous Huxley, who would go on to write the iconic novel Brave New World. It's also home to Charterhouse Public School, which became the origin for none other than the band Genesis in 1967. Founding members Peter Gabriel, Mike Rutherford and Tony Banks all met up here, and would later team up with Londoners Phil Collins and Steve Hackett, and the rest is history.
Why do I feel like Genesis was in a Top Gear episode, or was that Peep Show?
3. Lying on the River Wey in the far west of Surrey.
Obviously, it's a big band. You guys have so many huge bands over there, and I'm not the biggest, music person. So
3. Lying on the River Wey in the far west of Surrey, the town of Farnham is overlooked by a castle to its north, built in the 12th century by the grandson of William the Conqueror.
Another great street.
Its keep was partially dismantled by parliamentarians following the Civil War, although the castle and adjoining Bishop's Palace had been home to the Bishops of Winchester right up until the early 20th century. In the 17th century, Farnham became a prosperous market town, producing greenware, pottery, wool, cloth, and wheat.
I love this road. Oh, again, half-timbered house. I could just imagine a horse-drawn cabbie. What is it called? Carriage?
Producing greenware, pottery, wool, cloth, and wheat. A handful of timber-framed buildings along West Street and the Borough hark back to this era. And on the whole, Farnham boasts an impressive array of listed buildings. Number 2. At the very southwestern edge of Surrey, just north of the South Downs and south of the Surrey Hills, is the town of Hazelmere. And of all the towns on this list, it is the furthest from London, both in geography and in spirit, with a distinct lack of urbanisation. A series of watermills was established here in the medieval era, as the town became a producer of wool and silk as cottage industries. Architecturally, the town has an understated and unspoilt elegance, with a series of Georgian buildings, including the town hall, dating from 1814. To live in Hazelmere...
These are Georgian buildings, the nice brick ones I like. Okay.
and town hall dating from 1814. To live in Hazelmere isn't cheap though. Its postcode, GU27, is the third most expensive Surrey postcode outside of the M25, just behind Virginia Water and Windlesham. Number 1.
Who's that?
And the number 1 spot for prettiest town in Surrey goes to the county town itself.
Best street
Guildford,
so far.
with a history that goes all the way back to the 10th century when a royal mint was established here. A Norman castle was built here, and later replaced by a stone castle built by Henry III, which became one of his royal residences. The castle's grounds were open to the public in the 1880s.
Okay, this is the coolest one I've seen so far in the video. Favorite town, something about the cobblestone streets, and this one's extra wide. It's just beautiful. And then best looking castle feature so
Placed
far.
by a stone castle built by Henry III, which became one of his royal residences. The castle's grounds were open to the public in the 1880s and can be explored free of charge to this day. As for the town itself, it boasts one of the prettiest high streets of any medium to large sized town in the country.
Beautiful.
Highlights include the magnificent Guildhall, built circa 1550, remoulded in 1683, complete with its projecting clock, finished with 23.5 carat English gold leaf applied by hand. And how many town centres can boast that? Also, in 1974, a local band called the Guildford Stranglers formed here, or as they were eventually known, the Stranglers.
The Stranglers.
And
Nice
those
name.
are my picks for prettiest towns in Surrey. Do you agree or disagree?
The
By all
last
means,
one
let me
looks-
know your thoughts in the comments, and feel free to tap that like button. And in the meantime, you can also check out my flagship channel, 4K Explorer, where all of the footage for this video originated from. Link in the description.
I'll
Thanks
check
for
that out.
watching, and I will see you next time.
Cool. Very nice
When-
little top 10 video on Surrey. I was looking for a Surrey video for a while. It's just, I feel like a lot of the videos I see never really give Southeast England a lot of love. And Surrey is a Southeast England place, right? I'd like to see some stuff in Kent, maybe Essex, maybe Suffolk, and maybe East Sussex, or stuff like that. Maybe it's just not as aesthetically pleasing over there. I have no idea, but I'd like to see more. Surrey definitely seems nice, and I agree from what he said and the pictures and videos I've seen here that Guildford seems to be the coolest. But that's from what I can see. Love y'all. Hope you guys are all doing well. Would appreciate any comments. Would love if you liked and subscribed, and hopefully I will see you next video. Bye, guys.